Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg played on brand new maps, and of course, also the new multiplayer balance patch. And the spotting right here in the top right hand corner, playing with the red Terran as CVs, we have none other than Bjorn, and all the way in the bottom left, playing with the blue Zerg pieces, a man I haven't seen play on the new patch just yet. We have none other than Solar. Oh. This time around, it's Solar who begins to chatter. Well, I'm sure Bjorn will respond, because usually it is Bjorn who begins the series with a little bit of tea, maybe a couple of biscuits, puts his feet up on the desk, makes a couple structures and some SCVs and all the rest of it, but there's no denying that Bjorn usually is a little bit of a chatter. What are they talking about? Cloud? I have no idea. The map is Old Republic. Cloud. The map is Old Republic. These cool decorations that the map makers have been working with are pretty sick, right? Look at this thing. This is like the skeleton of an Ultralisk set on a bunch of stilts inside of like a, I don't know, like a stasis field of some sort. Pretty cool. I've never actually seen that sort of decoration on a map before. Might be custom made. Either way, both of these players, right, generally speaking at least, they like to play this matchup reasonably passively. At least on the previous balance patch, Solar was very much so the type of guy who would macro up to lurkers and then finally try to attack. He is one of the very best, if not the very best when it comes to that. Solar is, because of it, usually, very defensive in the earlier stages of the game. Very defensive even in the middle stages of the game. But then, especially later on, when he gets his lurkers out, when he gets up to like a Nidus network, then that's usually when he pulls the trigger and he starts frantic multitasking all over the map. It does mean, though, that you have to play a very clean, early stage of the game, right? And if you take any damage whatsoever, usually playing that style is very difficult to pull off. And therefore, especially on a new patch, especially with new maps, it is a much more difficult approach across the board. Only time will tell. Maybe Solar has decided to change things up. Maybe he's going to go for something that isn't Nidus Worms and Lurkers, which, truthfully, I haven't really seen yet on the new patch in this matchup at all. At least I don't think so. Everybody is going into Ultras right now. There's a lot of variety as far as the Zerg late-game strats go, so it'd be kind of nice, actually, to get an update as far as that goes. Maybe Solar will be going for Lurkers. I'm sure it's still a viable strategy. Nothing's really changed too much, although maybe the Ghost back up to 2 supply could throw a bit of a wrench in that sort of game plan, but I mean, they always were 2 supply for years and years and years, and Solar used to play Lurkers back then as well. Bjorn, of course, a man of many strengths. For years, he always profiled himself as like the very best micro Terran on the planet. Problem for him, everybody got better, so he had to, go ahead and get better at playing macro too. These days, he really does favor macro mostly. He does still go for some aggressive pushes. We do see him occasionally plant some barracks on the other side of the map in the earlier stages of the game. He does go for hyper-aggressive cheeses. But more often than not, especially when he goes up against more passive Zergs, he likes, fighting passivity with passivity. I'd be surprised, for example, if we're going to see like a 3-base 8 Rex coming out of the South Korean Terran here. He's already finishing up the 3rd command center. It's a little bit late. Because of it, he's hit a bit of a supply block here for just a moment. Had to make some readjustments, apparently. But it is going to finish up right now, which will give him the supply yet again to continue macroing up. Banshee opener. Good old cloaking first as well. A lot of Terran players lately have been going for the speed upgrade on the Banshee first. It's an upgrade that has been buffed. But apparently Bjorn is going to go for the good old tried and tested strategy instead. For now, Solar indeed playing this very passively. No Roach Warren, no Baneling Nest, although one will be coming up right now. Blind Spore Crawler, 2nd gas as well, all at 430. He could decide to go for the Spire opener too. So Spires now, 50 minerals, 50 gas cheaper. And they built a little bit quicker as well. We've seen Shin attempt to go up to very quick Mutas, and I'm sure it's a strat that you can go for. But it's very easy for things to go horribly wrong. This doesn't look, though, like it's gonna be anything like, for example, a Hellbat timing attack or anything hyper-aggressive here from Björn. Problem for Solar is that he doesn't know. He's been scouting, he's seen the double tech lab, so that's a pretty clear indication that indeed it's gonna be cloaking together with Stimpek on both of those tech labs. We are gonna go for the switcheroo right now on some of those add-ons with the cloaking field done on the Banshees, and I'm sure we can begin the siege tank production. There it is. Widow Mines, by the way, should be a little bit more popular now. Widow Mines also got a small buff. But usually siege tanks are the solid backbone. Even when you do want to play Widow Mines eventually, having a bunch of siege tanks out can be incredibly powerful. And so far, honestly, Solar's defense is looking rock solid. Look at the creep spread already. This is a playstyle that Solar really has refined over the years. He does this more frequently than even, like, for example, Serral. It's to the point where it's, like, a little bit predictable. Because Solar does this sort of thing every single time. But if you do it well enough, it's one of those strategies that really doesn't have any real perceived weaknesses. You can defend anything. The real bottleneck is skill. So as long as you have that under control, the player becomes the bottleneck, not so much the strategy. As long as you're not the bottleneck, life's pretty good, man. Hydra then. Yep. Double upgrades here as well. Did we already go? Yes, we already did go Centrifugal Hooks. Centrifugal Hooks now grants plus 5 HP on the Baneling yet again. So Banelings now have 5 more HP than they did over the last year or so. They used to have it back in the day. It's an upgrade that once more is granting it. Siege tank up on the high ground here is a pretty cool spot. Keep in mind that these maps are brand new, right? So I can imagine this is the first time Solar has to deal with a siege tank in that location. But I mean, the creep spread is good enough. He can send a bigger run by, although that's exactly what those Hellions are here to intercept as well. I don't really think Björn can do too much with this. Like, this is not a very... Like, it's not going to kill a base, I don't think. It's nice. It's clearly annoying for Solar, but it's one of those pushes where you're almost hoping that the opponent is going to be attacking into you. Solar has got an Overlord on top of the Pervert Pillar, so he can see this. Björn doesn't see the Overlord, so he hasn't realized yet that he's been spotted. Björn's like, yo, come out and play! I'm right over here at the edge of the creep! Come on, buddy! Queen's actually from the low ground trying to see if they can potentially hit the siege tank. It's a bit of an awkward spot. One of the Banshees does go down. Björn backs up. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna go anywhere for Björn. He is setting up a secondary attack, though, in the far bottom right. At least the creep spread has been halted. There's no hive or anything along those lines yet, although an infestation pit starts up as soon as I say it. By the way, it is going to be an A-Rex on 3... No. It's a 4th command center, I was gonna say. Be very surprised if we're going to be seeing an 8-Rex right here from Björn, but this is actually, well, 8 barracks, but then on 4 command center. Nice surround over here. Hydras are starting to pop out. Soon the +2/+2 will be done. I mean, it's still about maybe 45 seconds, maybe a minute or so away, but it doesn't look to me like Björn is really making any headway with that push in the middle of the map of his. Now, this over here is looking pretty good, though, for the Marines. Having a grand old time. A little bit of a Zorkling meat grinder over here. Björn hosting a little barbecue without Hellions. 2-2 though coming up as well for Björn. And he is going to be sending his reinforcements through the middle of the map, using that 4th command center right now to grow a little planetary fortress hat on top of itself. Zorkling run by does get deflected. And even though this push has been camping out here for a long time, maybe with 2-2 finishing, he will have like a maybe like a 20-second window or so where, well, the Zork player won't have their own upgrades. There's the Lurker Den. Yeah, so Hive together with a Lurker Den is indeed going to be Solar's weapon of choice. Will he commit? He's going in for the surround right now, right before 2-2 is done. This is the absolute worst timing here for Björn. He picks up a load of the troops and gets on out of there, but yeah, Solar's star sense is tingling. He must have realized that those upgrades were very nearly done. So he decided to pull the trigger right at the perfect moment. Excellent cleanup right there for Solar. But obviously, what did he actually achieve? Well, he got a little bit of freedom. Creep threat is immediately going to resume yet again. Man, Solar is such a macro monster. This is the style that I always have aspired to be able to play myself. It's not too flashy. It's maybe not even too exciting. But it's just so incredibly strong when it's well executed. Again, we get back to bottlenecks. It's me. I'm the bottleneck. Yeah, Solar's going to be able to push this away. Maybe even test the waters a little bit. He needs some open supply to be making lurkers anyway. 5th command center here, way too far forward. Cancel on that one. Push in the meantime also in the top left. Hydras are starting to close the distance to the Hydralisks. Or, what? To the Metavex. They almost slide over themselves. They close the distance to their own friends. Alright, push over here gets, well, all the way back to the creep at this rate. But there is also a push right over here at the very top of the map. Bjorn keeps on finding these nasty locations where without Banelings, Zerg really has an issue cleaning all of this up. I love that sort of positioning. One of the Metavex, though, is going to go down. The meat grinding will continue until morale okay, well, it improved. In the meantime, the Terran units have made their way onto the creep. Widow Mines, indeed, are now also added into the mix. Here come the Zerg reinforcements, though, and they are going to have a pretty darn good time. We have some parasitic bombs as well onto the Metavex. And so far, this has been an eye for an eye. Medevac desperately trying to fly back home. The boost is available. But thus far, yeah, the trades have been good enough for Terran. Resource effective for Terran as well. But it's not really a position that he can leverage his way into a victory from very easily. Problem is, Solar's economy has been, yeah, on an absolute tear now for a long time. 90 plus workers. Getting a base sniped over here, though, would be really good. I don't think there's a whole lot that Solar can do about this one. Nope, that base is super dead. Zerg reinforcements are showing up, but maybe more importantly, he does now see that the lurkers are out. New command center has just been landed over here. Push as well on the left side of the map right now. Bjorn is starting to make the transition towards ghosts. Lurkers now within range of the command center in just a moment. I don't think a planetary fortress is going to be able to finish up right over there, because those lurkers will kill that in a heartbeat. Just like those marines and those marauders. My god. Medevac's mostly out of energy right now, though. They have to be a little bit careful. Council on the planetary. Gun is going to have to lift off and get on out of there. Ooh, Vipers yet again looking for some parabombs. Slowly but surely softening this Terran army up. Man, I have honestly not really seen Solar play all too much. I'm sure he's been playing, but I haven't really casted a whole lot of his matches. But it's nice to see that he clearly has not been taking a break. I cast a whole load of Bjorn games, right? I think we're all very familiar that Bjorn is always in shape. But Solar certainly no slouch here. Now, the one thing that's kind of lacking is a Nidus network. Normally we see a Nidus. I think if that's not coming up here, Solar will probably try to make a push for this planetary fortress. Keep in mind that orbital commands can fly, but planetary fortresses cannot. So if you can get the lurkers over here, that would be massive. Zergling run-bys yet again. All over the map. Lurker count is growing. We're up to 10 of them right now. At the same time, though, the ghost production has now properly kicked in. Soon we're going to be up to 8. Careful. Otherwise, we're going to be up to 7. We do have the building armor as well as the high-sec auto-tracking coming up. So that's building armor for all of the Terran structures. And then also additional range for planetary fortresses as well as missile turrets. Ooh, nice abductions over here. 2 of the ghosts end up going down. A couple of the ghosts also running away from the Lings up north. Lurkers, though, are starting to make their choke on this expansion now. But Bjorn is pushing all of this away. Well, my question is he going to be able to get rid of those lurkers? Blinding clouds, abductions, parasitic bombs. All of it is dangerous, and there's another parabomb. Medevacs need to be real cautious. Planetary fortress dies while Bjorn is desperately trying to split against those units. Hydra Lunge also used right now for the retreat. And Solar is showing himself as a bit of a beast. Very calm, very well executed so far. +3/+3 coming up as well. Byondo certainly not in a situation yet where this is going to be game over for him. Because he is now, in addition to making ghosts, also adding in liberators. This is one of the problems though for him. Like this is the type of stuff that I look at, and we've had this now for several minutes. He just can't find one of those command centers to the ground, and he's starting to lose the edge a little bit. Now we're going into the Nidus network. Okay, couple lurkers already waiting around the site. Old Republic, by the way, is really looking like a good map. I'm a big fan. It's conventional, but it feels pretty close. Like, all of the expansions do feel like they are reasonably close to one another. Now, as Bjorn is killing a base on the left, we see Solar killing an expansion of the opponent on the right. Nidus Worm right now is going to come up. It's only 3 lurkers inside of it. I think the idea is to try to run them around the mineral line, but it's not going to happen. With the Nidus Worm getting sniped before it can finish up. Personal Cloaking coming up as well here for Bjorn's Ghosts. And now we're at 14 Ghosts, which is way more than you would make in the previous patch. So real quick, Ghosts have had 3 changes. First off, they're now 125 HP. Secondly, they are 2 supply. Rather, so they used to be 100 HP, now they're up to 125. They used to be 3 supply, now they're 2 supply each. But to make up for that, they are now light units, meaning that they take bonus damage from certain troops on the opponent's side of the map. I think for this matchup, across the board, it is a nice little buff for the Terran player. There used to be a time when Ghosts were considered to be stupidly overpowered, and now maybe we're going to go back to that. I don't know. Either way, if you're walking them into Banelings and Zerglings, obviously they will go down really quickly. Speaking of going down quickly, though, that planetary just disappeared in about a heartbeat. Do we not have concussive shells? Oh, we do. Maybe the Marauders that were hitting the Banelings there already finished off their targets. New expansion in the far bottom right. New Nidus Worm as well, inside of the natural expansion here. What about the pusher at the front? Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to hold it. Nice attack right here from Bjorn. Man, these two are very evenly matched. The medevac numbers are so high. I think he's been making them in anticipation of losing a bunch. Nice splitties right now, though, from the Terran player. Splitting against Banelings with units that don't have Stimpack. On creep. Not so easily done. Nidus Worm is indeed up, but reinforcing Terran units will be able to shut it down before Solar realizes it. Solar too busy microing here in the main engagement instead. Alright. Next weapon of choice for Solar. We're adding on a bunch of Infestors. Let's do a little bit of first-person view. This is what Bjorn is looking at whilst playing the match. Sometimes when you're watching games mostly, right, it's easy to forget how little vision you truly have as a Terran player at this stage in the match. You're just trying your absolute hardest. But you make a lot of mental notes as far as expansions go and when certain bases are taken. Nice snipey over here on one of those Vipers. Switching over to the Zerg. The map is equally dark, but not quite as badly. The map is dark and full of Terrans. But Solar, at the very least, still has the advantage of creep. That really just provides such a massive boost, especially at this stage in the game. That little arm of creep spread on the left side on the minimap is just granting him a ton of vision. Burrowing Zerglings, at least that's going to be the next plan. All over the map as well, just to make it more difficult for the Terran player to acquire everything. Okay. I'll take control of the camera again before anybody gets too nauseous. Push over here in the middle, though. EMP on the Vipers, but not on the Infestors, although a follow-up does get some of the damage removed. 15 SCVs, though, were also removed out of the equation. Hatchery in the far top left. Easy kill right here for Bjorn as soon as he realizes that it's there. Burrowed Zerglings right now in the natural. He did notice that they were indeed going underground. Hatchery in the top left is going to go down as well. So again, we have some damage taken, but we also have some damage dealt. Bjorn is going to try and see if he can take this base. Likewise, Solar is making a run for those mineral fields. Tactical planetary fortress, maybe? Ooh, Snipey over here on one of the infestors. Snipey over there on another one of the infestors. Good scans. Push again around the left side of the map. Dude, Old Republic is looking like an absolute no-brainer for a balance, sorry, for a new map pool. Lings and Banes rolling through, trying their very best. This time around, though. Oh, they do end up killing the command center there, but this time around, Bjorn did a good job shutting a lot of those units down. You can see the advantage of being pre-split. Planetary Fortress now comes up on the right side of the map. Lurker count all the way down to just 3 of them, and, well, they're all hiding inside of the Nidus. Pure Hydroling Bane instead, which is once more a lot more viable because of the Baneling buff. Okay. Planetary Fortress indeed, in a tactical location. So Bjorn going double planetary here. I love these type of planetaries. Technically, it feels a little silly, because, yeah, okay, now you've wasted a command center on it, but, I mean, when you're maxed in supply, you can only add so much more. I feel like going for the absolute biggest type of static defense in key locations on the map where Zerg keeps on running by is a really good idea. Problem is, though, base in the middle now is properly denied. Banelings rolling through yet again. Some SCVs are dying. What about the planetary up north? Is there enough Zerg to really break through it? Well, Solar still has a bit of a bank, but it is starting to deplete. Especially if Terran manages to snipe one more base, and that's exactly what Bjorn is trying to do right now. Still, though, a very large portion of the Zerg army was set on idle over here. Set to defense duty. Nice Widow Mine. Push up north. Also denied right here by Bjorn. A very high-speed game. Yeah, APM-wise, both players are starting to reach 500. Pretty ridiculous. This is the only base over here in the top left, I believe at least, that hasn't been mined yet. Interestingly enough, it's right next to Terran space. Nidus Worm at the front, Spore Crawler at the front as well, just to make it difficult for Liberators to siege up. I like it. Keep in mind that Vipers are no longer able to abduct sieged up tanks. It's one of the changes in the new patch. I'm not exactly sure why. One of those random changes, but fair enough. Not a lot of siege tanks available anymore. Planetary Fortress does go down. Bjorn has kept it at like half HP there for a long time. Solar immediately pouncing at the opportunity as soon as he realized that that was the case. And so far, this is looking like a game, man, where both players have been trying to end it for the last 15 minutes, but we're arriving at a stage where, well, most of the resources are mined out. Oh, big EMP over there on that Viper, or the Infestor, rather. Liberator is really nice. Backing up to the safety of the planetary there is a great choice. Bjorn has decided, though, that the age of the SCV is over. We have 5 orbital commands only. And he is no longer adding in any additional SCVs. So only 40 of those bad boys really isn't a ton. I like that stage of the game a lot better for Solar, who's still sitting at a healthy 78. Blinding Clouds planetaries are all very dangerous. He decided to go for the Microbial Shroud, for the Parasitic Bomb, onto the Medevacs instead. Hatchery in the top left. We have a bit of a drone train heading on over in that direction. Bjorn doesn't know about it, and that's a big deal. They keep on skirmishing for these expansions in the far bottom right. Solar might be able to sneak out a base here, and if he can mine it for several minutes, that would be huge. In the meantime, though, Bjorn is going for another expansion, the one south of the sneaky one in the top left. And he's going to be able to very quickly, well, get rid of that one. This planetary fortress is nice, but I think a lot of the supply of the Terran is now caught up on the left side. Bjorn could go for the kill as well in the top left, but he decides to go for the kill on the base in the middle. Planetary Fortress will stay alive against mass repair for now. Hatchery right over here in the middle of the Zork base is not so lucky. Oh, is he gonna just go straight for all of the tech? He wants to go straight for the natural. Man, if he knew about the base in the top left, it's such a no-brainer. But Bjorn has decided that it's time to get a little crazy. He's brought enough medevacs to lift up at least the majority of the Terran units here. Oh, that's exactly though what Solar is trying to hunt down right now, trying to grab the medevacs. Lunge on the Hydras is on cooldown. Viper is a little too slow. So no abductions, no parasitic bombs, although maybe. Actually, I say that. For some reason, Bjorn decides to unload over here. Why are we unloading over here, Bjorn? We could have boosted home. Ooh, okay. Not as big a problem as I thought it was going to be, but in the meantime, Bjorn also goes for a push on the right, and that one is way more successful in the end. Medevac does indeed sneak away with the Ghost. That little hit squad apparently now has a taste for blood, as they want to go for another hatchery, this time around the one in the far bottom right. In the meantime, though, this base here in the top left is still going. It's an easy kill for Bjorn. He may accidentally stumble upon it. Yeah, I think he will. This expansion has now been mining for several minutes without Bjorn's knowledge. And he's going to find out about it right now. It's going to make his heart sink, though, because he probably assumes the Zerg just about dead. And then you realize, wait a second, he's been getting all these resources now for a long time. And it explains why Solar has been able to hold on and, actually, well, contest with these Terran units despite some pretty bad trading. This planetary has been phenomenal, by the way. 53 kills on the planetary fortress itself. Blinding clouds, fungal growths, EMPs, what are we doing? Microbial shroud? He hasn't researched it. Oh. Man, those ghosts are making quite the difference, right? So the big difference here for Terran, he's made how many ghosts? 34, there's 5 still available. They now just simply take 1 supply each, less. That's a huge difference. It means that your armies just look way larger than they used to. He does have a lot more supply dedicated to Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, and all the rest of it. No more. Will Solar be able to mine those mineral fields here in the bottom right? Bjorn has managed to secure this base over here, but we are now soon arriving at the part of the game where this will effectively be his only income. Base at the 12 o'clock position is starting to run out. Solar has this base, and it's still not really harassed very much at all by Bjorn. You can tell here that Solar is starting to take up a position that will allow him to then also fight the Terran's army while defending the base in the top left. Fungal is big, but is there actually enough Zerg right now to really back this up? I don't think so. Solar goes back to the safety of the creep, and despite the fact that Bjorn didn't know about that base in the far top left, in an absolute bloodbath right here on the Old Republic, it is the Terran who gets the 1-0 lead. Next up, we find ourselves on Throne of the Dunes. We're back. I believe that's what the map is called anyways. Listen, Al-Gaib! That seemed necessary. Anyway, apparently we're getting all the Sandy maps out of the way. Look at that. We have a little sandy pillar over here as well, or a sandy little ramp where the Reapers can jump up and down. Beautiful game number 1, by the way. Nothing all too unorthodox, nothing all too crazy, but just solid, high level, well, macro-esque StarCraft 2. Exactly what I assumed would be happening between these two. What is this? Is this like the Overseer's Tower, where you can climb in and inspect the work from a distance? This is how I assume they actually built the pyramids, with a guy sitting in a little tent, shouting at people. This looks like a great place to hang out, man. If you bought premier seats, this is where you can watch the StarCraft game. One right here for Bjorn. Triple command center opener, no surprises. Triple hatchery opener here as well for the Zerg. Will we go into a Baneling Nest? Will we go into a Roach Warren early? Not something that happened in the previous match at all for the Zerg. Are we gonna go? No, we're not gonna go into a Benchy Cloak. Instead, we're gonna go for a Liberator. Now, Solar with the perfect scout. Normal scout timing is 4 to 4:15 on the Overlord. And he indeed sees that there is a starport building something, but he also sees the lack of an add-on. So 1 tech lab this time around. If you compare it to the previous game, we had 2 tech labs when he came in at the same time. So he knows right now that it's gonna be a Liberator. And then it allows him to position those Spore Crawlers a little bit more aggressively. Can't really be a Benchy. Could be a Viking, I suppose. Evo Chamber wall off. It's those little things, right, that make all the difference. And it's quite difficult, really, to figure all of those things out when you are actually playing a game. Like, having the knowledge, okay, I need to scout at about 4 minutes with an Overlord, and then actually doing it, and then also interpreting the information, and then immediately using the interpreted information to then respond and change little things like Spore Crawler positioning. It doesn't sound too difficult, but when you're also juggling 17 other balls at the same time, it becomes very complex. We really have become spoiled, by the way, when it comes to the maps, right? Like, this is another one of those beautiful maps. I'm really getting very Middle Eastern vibes here. Look at this. We even have some, what do we call this sort of stuff? Mother of Pearl? Is that what we call that? I don't even know where that stuff comes from. I think it's in shells and stuff, isn't it? Anyways, look how yeah, it's very shiny. Beautiful. It's so funny because for years the maps were kind of boring. Although I will say, I kind of miss, somebody pointed this out recently in the YouTube comment section, we don't really have maps anymore that are like good old cityscapes. You know, like, for example, Metalopolis from back in the day. Those are like the absolute most basic, like they're like the vanilla ice cream of StarCraft 2 map design. But vanilla is awesome for a reason. Again, double upgrades right here for Solar to start things off. A little bit of variety, though, because this time around, we have the Baneling Nest after the double upgrades. Lair does finish here, but it means that he is not going to be able to get Baneling speed done in time for the very first attack. And with the way that, like, we have the Terran moving out already, it's looking like 1-1 will also not be done. Solar's going to have to deal with this. With just his good old Marine. Yeah, that's a problem, man. These Marines are hitting so insanely hard. Combat shields and +1 attack are just about to finish. There's a bunch of slow Banelings. At least we're on creep. Careful now, if the Stimpak wears off, you're dead. Couple of Banelings will be able to detonate those Widow Mines in time. It's messy. It's kind of sloppy. But hey, that's the way many people like it. In StarCraft 2, I mean. I could possibly not be insinuating anything appropriate. Anyways. Alright, Solar does hold on here. It's one of those things that could have been a disaster. Biggest thing here by far is that those 4 queens died. And immediately, here comes the snowball. More and more Marines are heading across the map. 2-2 has begun as well. 4th command center though, 2nd factory too, so it's not an 8-Rex yet again. This is one of those games where I feel like an 8-Rex would actually be a great idea, especially with the way that the map is laid out. Ooh, overextension. Overextension by Bjorn. Can't look, yeah, you can't look away for like even a split second. This little Zergling run by creating enough of a distraction for Solar to be able to get some real damage done here at the front. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck. Brenda! I'm trying to get back on the creep. Well, unlucky. She's old and senile, man. She thought that getting from here to there... she thought that going that way would be... She knows she's slow off creep. Back before the Brute Wars, I could fly. Sure, Brenda. Sure. Anyways, the queen's dead now. Long live the queens, we have more. You know there actually are ant swarms out there that do use multiple queens. It's not the norm. Most of the time insects have one queen, but it's not unheard of to have a whole load of queens as well in certain species of ants, which is pretty sick. Zork basically is what I'm trying to say, is scientifically accurate. Nobody knows how vipers fly with little wings like that. Considering they're about the size of like a... I don't know, like a school bus. They're big. Maybe bigger than that, actually, man. These things are huge. Anyways. They look like dragonflies. Bjorn is really trying to pile up the pressure here after that successful attack. But Solar is doing Solar things. Holding on to the best of his abilities. But it's all very... Yeah, it's all very tricky. Solar has managed to get all the way up towards Hive Tech now. Ooh, big Baneling detonation over here. He does have Hive Tech. He is going Adrenal Glands, but there's no Lurker Den. Hatchery gets cancelled as well. Beyond snipes a couple Banelings before picking up the majority of the units. Planetary Fortress has been set up already for a little bit over here on the right, and now we finally go Lurker Den. So we're basically looking for a moment to breathe so he can potentially get it started. Now, we are fighting, yes. All of these engagements are good for Terran, yes, but Solar already has, well, 5 base. So despite the fact that Bjorn is winning most of these little skirmishes, it is sometimes very easy as a Terran player here to overestimate the lead that you're actually creating for yourself. 5 bases is more than enough for the Zerg to actually play proper late game. The creep spread, though, is very bad compared to where we were in the previous game. And all of this has been going a little bit better for the Terran player compared to the previous game. And of course, the previous game ended up with a Bjorn win. Nice control here, dude. Oof. Not enough medevacs, though, to get all these units out. So I think we are going to go down with the ship. The only unit surviving is the ships. It's like all the sailors decided to jump overboard in the middle of the ocean. It's a bit weird, but anyway. We thought there was a fire. This is what happens when you get that really good micro. Massive cost-effective advantage right here for Bjorn. And he's doing it while having a very comparable economy as well to that of the Zerg. Lurkers are coming, though. We have a Reaper. That's a misclick. Lurkers are coming. It's expensive, but usually the main bottleneck is Vespian gas. And Solar, like I said, I mean, look, he even has a free Vespian gas geyser over here, not taking it yet on purpose. He's got 9 gases mining, which is plenty. Actually, 8 gases mining. He's got another one over here, too. It's plenty to be able to make this transition here, regardless of, yeah, getting punched in the mouth a bunch of times. Honestly, the main concern I have right now for Solar is the lack of creep, but I don't think the creep is atrocious. Okay. Ghosts are coming out again. Very soon, we're getting to the point where it's... Hello, where are you going? Okay. Very soon, we're getting to the point where Solar can start striking back. We're doing it again through a Nidus network. Building armor, high-sec auto-tracking. It's a copy from the previous game, except a slightly better spot for Bjorn across the board. He has now seen the lurkers on the left. He knows that he can't really run on over in that direction. This map does look a little bit more comfortable, I suppose, here for the Zerg. I would like to really see some burrowed Banes as well. I think that's really good. Add an additional weapon to your arsenal here. Widowmine, Widowmine. Oof, almost dealing a lot of friendly fire there too, and that one did. Banelings decide to rub some salt in the wound as well, and suddenly that Terran army just disappeared. That is the type of stuff you gotta avoid to the absolute best of your abilities. That now means that I think a planetary fortress is gonna go down, and with it a load of SCVs too. Planetary lips! Oi, 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 he could have killed it in a heartbeat. Must have gotten distracted, or maybe he thought it was already dead. That would have been the beginning of a comeback for sure, and I still think it could be. But Bjorn just barely keeping that base alive is big. Now the Nidus worms are coming up. Bjorn doesn't see it. Sensor tower is gone just now.
Mineral field depleted.
What is inside of the worm? It's a little lurker surprise. Maybe. Another Nidus worm down south. Oh, it's just one lurker. One little surprise. Okay, it's dead now. Solar's not very good at surprises. Okay. Now, is there a follow-up right here for Solar still? I would imagine Forbioni wants to go into the Mass Liberator style. Is Solar gonna add on Infestors again? Do we go Ultras at all? Is that something you're even considering? Probably not. Beyond doing Beyond things, though, splitting up his troops. Going for the base over here in the top left. Man, these maps are all really excellent, aren't they? It's kind of nuts. We really are blessed by the map-making community in StarCraft 2. It's one of my favorite things, actually, about StarCraft. Like, obviously, Blizzard doesn't really do that much anymore. I mean, we've had some updates recently, but the community really keeping all of this alive. Not just with tournaments. A lot of content creators, too, obviously, but also, like, map makers. Map makers make such a big impact on the game, and they're very much so behind the scenes, right? Like, you may be familiar with some of the names, but they're very much so the unsung heroes of the StarCraft community. Spending so much time trying to create these maps, and then many of them never even really getting played. It's a brutal thing. It's gotta be exciting as well, though, when your map does get played, like this, for example. Shout out to the map making community. Push over here in the far bottom right, and it looks like the hatchery will die. Zerg units also are going to pay the price. Man, this little hit squad of Terran troops has been wildly successful. Although I don't know if they're going to be able to go home. Scan will reveal that a lot of units are getting over here. Yeah, the medifacts, where are we going to go? Okay. Straight through the edge of the creep. That's the way to do it. You know, another group of unsung heroes in the StarCraft community? The people that update Liquipedia. For basically any tournament that goes on, the scores get updated immediately. And there's like a half dozen StarCraft tournaments every day. There's so many of them. For the bigger ones, it kind of makes sense, but there's a very passionate group of people that will be watching all of the streams, that will be checking out all of the results, and will then be manually entering them into the database. It's an insane number of work. Oftentimes, it also includes things like, for example, the map order in which games are played in. So oftentimes with like a replay pack, for example, I just get like a replay file dump and that's it. And I have to figure out the order in which the maps get played. Shout out to the legends on Liquipedia and to Legalec that are entering all of the data. Anyway, Solar is making a big push over here. Planetary Fortress again in a strategic position, making it difficult, maybe even expensive for the Zerg to get up towards that high ground. The multitasking again is so high here. Both players doing such a good job. This time around, I think the Planetary will die. Yeah, Banelings just decide to roll in. the last possible moment. A couple lurkers here as well on the right. Solar honestly doing a really good job with all this multitasking here. Remember how not too long ago he was kind of stuck on his side of the map, and if you look at the minimap right now, he's grouped about at least 50% of it up with creep. Widow Mines. Ooh, trying her very best. Liberator production has really kicked in now. There's the Infestors added again. Kind of feels like Solar is hesitant to add on Infestors until he absolutely needs to. And I guess the cue for him is that his gas count is starting to get a little ridiculous. This usually happens with Zork later on in a game when the mineral fields run out and you're sitting on a whole load of drones. Usually at some point, you just have more gas that you're really able to do anything with. So you may as well add in a bunch of Infestors. But Fungal is so powerful though. There we go. I mean, that's only a few units, but it's also forcing the Terran now to EMP. It makes the map very scary for Björn. Like, when you see a bunch of Infestors sharking around like that, suddenly the game feels very sketch. Missile turret. Of course, he's making those as detectors. The missile turret guy has a personalized radar or something along those lines inside of the tower. I would honestly like to see Microbial Shroud here. I know I keep yapping on and on and on and on about Microbial Shroud, but it reduces damage from air and from range targets by 50%. Seriously. When you have this many resources, it's 100 for the research. Is it not a no-brainer? Oh, again! No freaking way, dude. This is the luckiest planetary fortress alive. And that's kind of the problem here for Solar. It is still alive. He is fishing, though, in the meantime for Liberators. Spire coming up as well. I'm calling it now, okay? In like 2 months from now, Microbial Shroud is 100% researched at this stage in the game. It doesn't make any sense for it not to be the case. Like, it's a 50% damage reduction. I know we only have 2 Infestors. I know the circle's really small. And maybe the goal is just to fungal random units. But, like, you have so much gas. Obviously, it's easy for us to look at the game and judge it, right? But it's a relatively cheap upgrade at this stage in the game. You could go up to like 6-7 Infestors easy peasy here because you have the resources for it. Like, the resources balance out perfectly for it. I get that you don't want to get it too early. Anyways, Planetary does go down. 64 kills on that Planetary Fortress before it fell. Or as the kids would say, something about 6-7. I don't know. No, I feel very old when I hear people say that. I don't like it. All right, anyways. Apparently the number 67 is really funny for middle schoolers in 2025. Ooh, big surround over here. Not enough medevacs to pick everything up. Back in my day, the number 69 was funny. Haha. Still kind of funny. Yeah, you know what? I don't understand the number 67. Doesn't make any sense. Anyways, parasitic bombs over here onto the Liberators. Hydras with their dash. I do really like how that's become such a prevalent ability here for Solar. Not a lot of Zork players use the Hydra dash. There's Larry. What's up, Larry? Larry, the accidental swarm host, is back. More Vipers are also added. This is a good catch, though, here for Björn. Yeah, getting a bunch of those Banelings. Banelings are not a cheap unit. Both players are starting to starve for resources. But Solar definitely has more income right now. Honestly, a great recovery right here from Solar across the board. Again, by the way, a super long game. These two are insanely evenly matched. But this is one of those games where it feels like Bjorn had a major advantage earlier on, and now it's all started to slip out of his fingers. Don't get me wrong, though. He's still nearly maxed out. He still has a decent income. He's still got a phenomenal army. But the fungal from, well, down south, or I guess in this instance, the fungal from left field, or actually it's from the top. Anyways, it did slow down the retreat right there from the Terran player quite a bit. And that just makes Bjorn's army take an absolute nosedive. And can Bjorn recover? This base over here is still juicy, but it's also an orbital command. I would love to see a little Zergling run by in that direction. Likewise, I would love to see a medevac drop in that direction over there, but I don't know if you can really spare the resources for it. G to the G. Alrighty, and that means that this series comes down to the Celestial Enclave. It's the name of the map. I didn't come up with it. This map is also pretty cool. Honestly, I like all maps in this series. This is the map that has a very easy to acquire in-base expansion, but it only has 5 mineral fields. Now, I don't know why 5. Actually, I guess I can, probably come up with a reason. 5 obviously is a little bit of an odd number. Well, it literally is. But usually, right, whenever we saw, like, half expansions, as in, like, a normal base in StarCraft 2 has 8 mineral fields and 2 gases. If you put only 4 mineral fields here and a gas geyser, it just isn't enough. Like, it's just not worth taking. Whereas with 5, it becomes slightly more manageable. Now, you could make the argument that it's not quite as good as, like, 6, 7. But no, Loco. Sorry, I don't need to appeal to middle schoolers on my channel, do I? Let's be honest, most of my viewers are, like, men in their 30s. I think, yeah, we don't need to make... Very few Zoomers, or even Gen Alpha. I think that's like Gen Alpha. Yeah, very few of that. You know what I recently learned, and this is a bit of an issue. So we are expecting a baby in February, which means that apparently she's not going to be part of Generation Alpha anymore. No, it doesn't fit. It's a worker only path. She's not going to be part of Generation Alpha. She's going to be Generation Beta. My kid's literally gonna grow up being a beta. I don't know if that's... Yeah, Generation Sigma isn't for like another 60-ish years. So you could wait for that if you want to have... But, you know, the odds of that working out positively are pretty low as well. Yeah, loads of betas being born at the moment. Anyway. Nice little bit of harassment over here on the creep tumors. I think this might be the first time. This series was played recently, but I think this might be the first time that the players are on it. So, in case you're unfamiliar, this little path over here, whenever there's like a map with these skinny, weird-looking mineral fields on them that are kind of moving around and whatnot, maybe we can have a better indicator for it, but it means that it's a worker-only path. So, Zerglings don't fit. Hellions, like Bjorn just checked, don't fit. It's workers only. Which is a pretty cool, a pretty cool concept. We've now seen this on a few different maps. Especially with this Team Liquid map contest. There are quite a few of them that do have it. I like it. It's pretty great for scouting as well. If Solar wanted to go for a drone scout, now, unlikely that a Zerg player would do it, but he could obviously try to go around the site, even if the main ramp over here is walled off. Ooh, okay. Solar's mixing it up. So, yeah, he's been taking some very rapid expansions. Yet again, we have gone for that lair. Yet again, we do go for the quick bailing speed, so no Roach Warren or anything along those lines. But he has skipped the Evo chambers until right now, and he's spending the gas on the Spire. So, the Spire has got less of a build time, a pretty drastic build time reduction, all things considered, and it's 50 minerals, 50 gas cheaper. Meaning that Solar is going to be able to start the Muta production quite a bit earlier than he normally would. Now, will it make Mutas viable? Yeah, sort of. I still feel like one of the big problems with the Muta is that most of the Terran units counter it. Brenda, once more, decided to take a little trip off creep. Mistakes were made. Medevac goes down, though, which is also a mistake. Alright, Spire is done. He did, by the way, fire up the 1-1 upgrades before the Muta production, which is kind of curious. Normally, the idea is that you get it going pretty quick. Oh, we're going mass Muta. Alright. Well, if you were wondering whether or not Mutaling Bane is back on the menu, I think this game over here is going to be as good an example as any. So, okay, few things. Why are Mutas not played very often? Couple reasons. First off, it's a very flimsy unit. So, one mistake, one group of medevacs, right, with a bunch of Marines inside of it, or Widowmines, or Thors, or really like half the Terran units. It's just a flimsy unit. It's very easy for things to go horribly wrong. Secondly, it's a pretty gas-heavy unit, right? It's 100 minerals, 100 gas each, meaning that if you want to go for a quick Spire, you have to delay your own upgrades. So look at these upgrades in the Evo Chamber compared to the Terrans. Bjorn is a full set of upgrades ahead. Mutas are going around the site, though, and there's no missile turret set up right over here. It's so uncommon for Mutas to be played that these show up entirely unscouted. And I think right now, Bjorn is going to be able to put one-on-one together and figure out what is actually going on in this game. These Mutas, yeah, I think they've done the damage that they were supposed to. I think that's about as good as it's ever going to be right here for, well, Solar, when it comes to the very first batch of Mutalisks. Now, considering he's getting the +1 air weapons, the +1 flyer attacks, this has to be mass Muta. You don't get that upgrade if you're just planning on making one little batch. Sometimes we used to see Mutas where you go for like... Oh, he's got 2 control groups of them as well. Interesting. One for base defense, one for offense. I would imagine they're going to merge together eventually, but sometimes we would see like 10 Mutas or so and then straight into Lurkers. Not an uncommon style. But this is going to be mass Muta. You wouldn't go for the +1 flyer upgrade if you're planning on only getting the 1. Overseer does get over here before that Widowmine can reload. 2-2, though, is just seconds away from being done right now for Bjorn. Still fighting against Lingbane on creep is dangerous, upgrade advantage or not. Medevac drop, sneaks around the left side. Dangerous play, honestly, from Bjorn. Honestly, the missile turrets now also are very attackable. Yeah, with +1 and this many Mutas, missile turrets alone are not going to be quite enough. Even the Marines alone are not going to be quite enough, as Solar decides to pounce at the opportunity, takes down the missile turret, takes down the Marines, starts working on the SCV line. Grabs a bunch of the reinforcing units as well. Gets into the main base in the middle of a production cycle, just like that. Medevacs misrallied. Misplays here from Bjorn. I think a lot of this is also due to the fact, though, that it's so uncommon for Terran to play against Mutas these days that Bjorn's defense is likely going to be slightly rusty. Muta's, of course, very quick, though, so you can harass and then still be home in time for defense, too. 5th Command Center, just seconds away from finishing. And that's one of the nice things right here for Bjorn. This is not a whole lot of SCVs that he's got to work with, but he can rebuild them quite rapidly. Adrenal Glands, by the way, is coming. Hive is here. Do we go Ultras? Normally, you would throw down an Ultralisk Cavern here. Yep. There he goes. Muta's, of course, one of the few units that have that rapid regeneration passive. I think they're actually the only unit that has it. The one that the Reaper has is called differently. That one's called Combat Drugs. Anyways, the passive, this one right over here, allows them to rapidly regen out of combat. Missile turret yet again. Okay, with Master Repair, it's quite manageable, but loads of SCVs are dying to the collateral. Push over here in the middle of the map, trying to get rid of that creep spread yet again. Armor, +3. Chitinous plating, +3 as well for the melee research. Solar has just invested like 1,000 minerals, 1,000 gas, give or take, in upgrades that are all going to be phenomenal in a few minutes from now, but at the moment are quite pricey. Still though, he's maxed. He's got a banger army. Mutas have been successfully distracting this, but maybe they're also distracting the distractor. The distractor has become the distracted. This choke point is a good one, though, for Widow Mines. Mutas are still dancing back and forth. Ultras are coming. Stimp back around the side here, back up towards the high ground. Oh, I love the body blocking over here with the changelings, actually, just to, like, slow down the advancement there of the Terran army. All of this is to buy time. If this upgrade finishes, and this upgrade is done, Ultras are going to be incredibly hard to beat. This is a Terran army that will be fully upgraded soon, but there's no ghosts, no liberators, and none of that here in the mix. Beyond can obviously make the transition, but he hasn't made any of those tech structures just yet. Now he sees the Ultra. Chitinous plating is done. It means that those Marines and Marauders are just not going to be able to hit very hard. Muta's back in the mix. The +3/+3 is being targeted. Forces a response out of Bjorn almost immediately, and now the Ultras are starting to break through the choke point. You know what? I think Mutas may be back in action. You'll love to see it. You can tell as well that Solar is... I mean, he's doing a good job, don't get me wrong, but this is not perfect Muta play. A little bit of indecisiveness. The transitions are all just a slight bit awkward. There's still room for improvement, but it seems to work out quite nicely. Ultra Cavern felt late to me as well. Could have added it on a little bit sooner if he planned on going Ultras. Okay, now Bjorn is still alive though. His income is still plenty good, despite the fact that he's lost 43 SCVs. Killed a hatchery as well on the top left, fair enough. +3 air weapons coming. Oof. Do you just go Corruptors at this point, or do you just keep making Mutas? Mutas are such a flimsy target too. I feel like adding in a couple Corruptors in this control group over here would be kind of nice. Chip away at the Medivacs. Probably not what he's going to do though. Nah. That would be what the low-level players do. AKA all the Grandmasters out there. Solar is a little bit above that. The Chompers are going to chomp. Now listen, what about Microbial Shroud? Look, Microbial Shroud here would have been phenomenal, okay? That planetary would have been dead. Now I know Solar likes not finishing off planetaries. He's shown it again and again in this series too. But Microbial Shroud? I'm telling you guys. In my, albeit very limited testing, Microbial Shroud is a no-brainer. He's got so much gas. Like, he can. It's so manageable. Anyways, the goal right here for Solar is to brute force his way to a victory. This planetary fortress is going to die now. Load of confirmed kills on it, though. And effectively, the strat right now from Solar has begun, or has become, rather, the I'm gonna bleed you out. Until you no longer have resources. So, main base. Completely out of minerals. Pocket expansion over here. Pretty much entirely out of minerals. These bases are also running dangerously low. And that is gonna force Bjorn out onto the map. He's not gonna hesitate, though. Already pre-split here. Nice attack. Kills the hatchery within seconds. He does need a scan to get rid of the creep. I don't think he can really fight on creep, although maybe he's thinking about it. Push as well on the right side. Medevac drop. About 16 Marines there in the mix. Widowmine there dealing a bunch of friendly fire. Ultras trying their best yet again. The Muta numbers, by the way, are quite high. 19 of them still available. 15 of them have died. Man, even without ghosts, even without liberators, Gun is really making those ultras look manageable. Yeah. We do have some transfusions, though, coming up from the queens, and now the Muta swoop in as well. Medevacs are nearly entirely out of energy. And that means that Bjorn has to retreat. He did take this expansion yet again. This is the old main orbital that Bjorn has brought down to the low ground. Multiple missile turrets in this area make it difficult for the Mutas to engage, but they have +3 flyer attacks. And that means now with the reinforcing Zerg units, I think Solar is going to be able to force this orbital command away out of this position. But honestly, Bjorn is not in a spot where he can really afford, being only on like 4 bases or even 3 command centers right now, with this one likely to fall. That is pretty much, well, entirely mined out. He just doesn't have the resources for that anymore. Looks like maybe the reinforcing Marines are going to be able to push those Mutas away temporarily. We do have some of the reinforcing Zerglings also showing up over here on the right side. A bunch of drones did end up dying there, but still 85 of those bad boys remain. The Widowmines here in the middle are still hanging out. Overseers, though, will provide the detection that is necessary. And it looks like the majority of the mines are going to fall just a second or two away from a recharge. Speaking of recharging, though, Solar right now recharging another attack wave. Ultraling Bane Muta. It's a classic unit composition. We haven't seen it much in years, but I kind of love it. Oh, that Widowmine did so much friendly fire. GG gets cold. Just like that, it is Solar who obtains the victory in this best-of-3 series. So game number 1 and 2, he played some really excellent lurkers, right? We haven't really seen much lurker play on the new patch yet. It seems like everybody's messing around with different threats. But then Solar decides to mix it up entirely in the 3rd game of the series and go for that very quick Muta opener. And even though I think it's fair to say that Solar could have played it slightly cleaner with the Mutas, I think Bjorn could have defended against the Mutas quite a bit better as well. If Mutas indeed do become a core part of the meta again, I think we'll probably see all of that tidied up, because a lot of it probably just comes from a lack of practice on both sides, right? As both the attacker as well as the defender. It's just not a strategy we see very much. But GG gets called in this particular instance, and Solar obtains the victory 2-1.